Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making the unchicken tofu. I'm making some tofu, which actually my daughter, who's a vegetarian, she loves it. And it really has this feeling of tofu and chicken, but you really can't tell it's tofu at times. So I'm making it in Asian style, and it's a little bit spicy and sweet, but you can really adjust the spice level. I just took an organic, extra firm tofu, which I froze in the freezer at least overnight or longer. So usually what I do is when I buy the tofu, I pop it into my freezer for a later use. So this was my extra firm tofu, and use any brand of your choice, okay? I just took it out of the freezer and then I wrapped it in a couple of Bounties. And I sandwiched it between, I hope you guys can see this. I sandwiched it between two cutting boards and put something heavy. I have my Vitamix on top. That's all I did for about the past 6 hours, I would say. I took it out this morning from the freezer, and then this afternoon when it was a bit thawed, I wrapped it in a Bounty and sandwiched it between two cutting boards. So just for you guys to see, I'm gonna take it off and turn over my cutting board and bring the tofu to you, okay? Just gonna unwrap it this way. This is a very easy Asian recipe, and you could really use any tofu of your choice. So this is what my tofu now looks like. The water is all out, but just in case that you feel there may be some more water, see that? I'm squeezing it more, squeeze it all out. Even though it's been sitting for 4 hours this way, see the amount of water that comes out of here? So if you can take more water out, that's better. You just want to squeeze it to the point that you don't have any breakage. Even if it breaks, don't worry. It can break like pieces of chicken, almost like rough edges. So there we go. Look at the amount of water, guys. Here we go. See this? Just to show you. That was all the water from the tofu. I'm gonna put my tofu in a bowl. So I'm gonna pop my tofu into a bowl and kind of break it up this way. So it looks like pieces of chicken. If you really like it nice and neat, you could, but I like to do this sometimes. Sometimes I cut it into little squares, and sometimes I do this because I like to get that feeling that, you would get if you were doing, breaking up like a piece of chicken, okay? I take some cornstarch, like a tablespoon of cornstarch, and toss my tofu in it, okay? And you don't want these pieces to be very big, because if they're too big, they're not gonna pick up enough flavor. So make sure if you still think some pieces are too big, you just kind of break them up into smaller pieces. At this point, you could either spray it or toss it with some oil and pop it in your air fryer for about, I would say 15 minutes at about 400 till you get like a crispy look outside, and then do the same sauce that I'm going to teach you, then stir fry it in the same sauce that I'll be teaching you. Or you could do what I'm doing today, because I want to show you something that we can do when we're not air frying it. My wok on the stove, and I have it on a medium heat. I always like everything to be a little preheated. So there's my wok. I'm gonna pop in a little bit of oil, like a tablespoon of oil, okay? And I have my tofu here that I just tossed with the pressed tofu with some cornstarch. Stir fries are really easy. You can either do anything you like. I love the garlic and ginger flavors. So I'm gonna show you a real nice stir fry doing garlic and ginger. Some people like the garlic really crushed. I'm personally not a fan of that. I love sliced garlic because I do like the taste of garlic. But if you're one person who does not like garlic, this is the right time to crush your garlic. So I'm gonna just pop in first my ginger. Here's my ginger root. I normally leave the skin on. It's really good for you. It's actually used when you're fermenting something with ginger. And I just take a microplane and I go straight over my wok because I don't like doing tons of dishes. So there we go. I just pop my crushed ginger. And again, this is about a teaspoon of ginger. There we go. And I had 2 garlic pods, which would also be about a teaspoon if I had crushed them. So I'm not crushing my ginger. I'm crushing my ginger in the sense that I'm doing it on a microplane. And if you like more ginger and you love the flavor of ginger, go ahead and put more. I'm going to add the garlic to it. And when you add garlic, remember one thing, you never want to fry your garlic for very long because garlic that's been frying for long will turn bitter. And to this, I have these 2 bird's eye chilies that had actually turned red. But use any chilies you like. If you want to use sliced jalapenos, you could even use that, or you could use chili powder. So now I'm going to show you my basic stir-fry sauce that I make at home. A tablespoon of rice vinegar and a tablespoon of my Chinese rice cooking wine. Okay. A tablespoon of soy sauce, a teaspoon of sesame oil. I can go back and tell you guys in case you think a teaspoon of yuzu ponzu, which is a lemon flavor, which gives it a lemony flavor. A teaspoon of the yuzu. A teaspoon of honey. Again, this is very forgiving. If you feel like you like your dishes more sweet, then go ahead and add more. A teaspoon of I bought this on Amazon. It's called broth-based seasoning, a vegan broth-based seasoning, which is I find really good in my vegetarian dishes. So that's what it is. There we go. And I have my ginger and my garlic going here. And there we go. I'm going to just stir it around. And I'm going to give a toss to my sauce here. Okay. So there we go. This is my garlic and ginger in the pan. And now I will toss in my tofu. And I will turn up the heat a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to just toss in my tofu and let it fry for a minute. I think I added I'm very strict with my oil nowadays, so I'm going to have to add a little bit more oil. I told you guys a tablespoon, but I secretly added just a teaspoon, so I had to add a little bit more oil because we couldn't have tossed this around. Okay, so I have this on a high stove right now, and I'm just going to toss it around. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and I'm adding white pepper, but if you don't have any white pepper, go ahead and use black pepper. So here's the salt. But be careful about the salt that you add. You have to don't add too much because it might just get too salty. Remember, you had the soy sauce. So you might have to adjust your salt based on the fact that you're using tamari or are you using soy sauce, okay? So there we go. I'm just tossing this around a few times, letting it, now this would get pretty crisp if I had put it in the air fryer, but I wanted to show you a recipe in case you don't have an air fryer that you could really do this at home straight in the wok and skip that step. So it's here tossing, give it a few minutes. Add some more oil. This would be a good time to taste your sauce to see if you wanted more sour, more sweet, more salty. I feel like mine lacks a little bit of salt, but I have to remember that I have enough salt in and I also feel I could use a little bit more of the yuzu because I tend to like my food a little bit on the sour side, okay? There we go. This will not really get brown like you had deep fried. You could actually deep fry this if you want it crisp, but I'm not a fan of deep frying, so that's one of the reasons. Oh my God, my apron has all the cornstarch, no worries. Now, if you deep fried this, it would be nice and crisp, almost like a General Tao's chicken, but I'm honestly not a fan of that. Now, all we have to do is add in my seasoning sauce in there. And to this, now I'm going to add a little bit of water. And I'll tell you why I added the water. And like a teaspoon, turn it down a bit because my water is boiling. Move my food to one side. Add like a teaspoon of cornstarch. Stir it right in the middle to thicken the sauce. There we go. We're almost done. There's my chicken, not real chicken, guys, my chicken tofu. I'm gonna pop in my 2 red chilies, spicy, and when you do it at this point, you won't cough the chili up, and it also won't be really spicy. It's your option to eat it. I'll just show you how to garnish it. You add a little bit of the scallions that I had pre-chopped, the sliced scallions, and a little bit of black sesame seeds. That would be a 1/4 teaspoon of black sesame. And perfect. It's garnished. It's ready to eat. You can serve it with some white rice or brown rice. Does it look like a nice chicken dish? And actually it's fully vegan and it's actually delicious. Okay? So try it out. It's really a lot of fun to do this. And even you want to maybe try it out, like I said, in your air fryer and then add it to the sauce, would also be good. But you can do it this way and skip that step if you don't have an air fryer. I happen to have an air fryer and actually love my air fryer. So this is a very easy recipe and do try it at home. I am Chef Anita at WannaBee Chef, and please see the link below and subscribe to our link and enjoy.